The Power of Forgiveness, Mandela's Legacy. Nelson Mandela, a name etched into the fabric of history, is synonymous with the fight for justice, freedom, and equality. His life is a testament to the incredible strength of the human spirit and the transformative power of forgiveness. As a revolutionary, he fought tirelessly against the oppressive apartheid regime in South Africa, a system that divided people based on race and stripped millions of their basic human rights. However, it was his capacity to forgive, even after enduring years of unimaginable suffering, that would become his greatest legacy. A Long Road to Prison. Born in 1918 in the small village of Mvizo, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela grew up during a time when black South Africans were subjected to systemic discrimination. Apartheid, the government-enforced policy of racial segregation, was at its peak, and the white minority ruled over the black majority with absolute power. Mandela, originally pursuing a career in law, was soon drawn into activism. He became a member of the African National Congress, ANC, a political party committed to fighting apartheid. In 1944, Mandela and others founded the ANC Youth League, seeking a more aggressive approach to fighting for equal rights. His commitment to the cause grew stronger, and by the 1950s, Mandela became deeply involved in organizing resistance through the Defiance Campaign and other civil disobedience actions. Despite the growing resistance movement, the apartheid government's cruelty intensified. In 1962, Mandela was arrested and convicted of attempting to overthrow the government. He was sentenced to life in prison, beginning his 27-year-long ordeal on Robben Island, the notorious maximum security prison where political prisoners were isolated and mistreated. The pain of imprisonment. For nearly 3 decades, Mandela endured unimaginable hardship. His body was confined to a small, damp cell, and his spirit was tested with forced labor in the prison quarries. He was denied the right to see his wife, his children, and his family. The oppressive heat of the South African sun, the harsh physical labor, and the endless loneliness all sought to break him down. Yet, despite it all, Mandela never lost his resolve. In his darkest moments, he held on to a vision of a free South Africa, a nation where people of all races could live together in peace and equality. Mandela's imprisonment was a symbol of the struggle against apartheid. The world took notice, and international pressure on the South African regime grew. For years, the world called for his release, but the apartheid government remained steadfast in its refusal. The struggle seemed endless, and at times, the pain of injustice seemed insurmountable. The turning point, the power of forgiveness. Despite the intense years of physical suffering and emotional separation from his family, Mandela and his inner strength was rooted in something profound, his ability to forgive. As he sat in his cell, reflecting on his journey, he began to realize that his fight was not just about confronting the regime, it was about changing the way people thought about each other. The deeply entrenched racial hatred that fueled apartheid could only be overcome through understanding, reconciliation, and, above all, forgiveness. Mandela began to understand that forgiveness was the only way to heal a divided nation. It was not about forgetting the pain or erasing the injustices of the past, it was about offering a chance to build a future where hatred no longer held power over peoples. His decision to embrace forgiveness was not an easy one. For Mandela, forgiveness meant releasing the anger and resentment that could have consumed him, and instead, focusing on the greater good. As the years passed, Mandela and his message of reconciliation began to spread. He was not merely a symbol of resistance, he was becoming a symbol of hope for a nation that desperately needed to heal. His time in prison transformed him, not just into a figurehead for the cause, but into a wise and compassionate leader. Freedom and the path to unity. In 1990, after relentless global pressure and growing domestic unrest, the South African government made a historic decision: Nelson Mandela was released from prison. The world watched as he stepped out of the prison gates, not with the fire of vengeance in his eyes, but with a calm and peaceful resolve. The man who had spent 27 years of his life locked away in a cell was now free, but he was not filled with hatred or a desire for revenge. He was filled with a sense of purpose and vision for the future. Mandela's release marked the beginning of a new chapter in South Africa's history. However, the country remained deeply divided along racial lines, and the wounds of apartheid were not easily healed. The task before Mandela was monumental. How could a nation torn apart by decades of systemic racism and violence ever come together again? The answer was clear: forgiveness. Mandela knew that the healing of his nation would require more than just political change, it would require a change in the hearts and minds of its people. As he engaged with leaders of the apartheid government, he never sought revenge. Instead, he extended a hand of reconciliation, inviting former oppressors to work together toward a unified South Africa. His call for forgiveness extended to everyone, black and white, those who had suffered under apartheid and those who had benefited from it. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission. One of Mandela's most profound decisions as president was the establishment of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, TRC, in 1995. Led by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the TRC provided a platform for victims of apartheid-era atrocities to speak about their experiences and for perpetrators to confess their crimes in exchange for amnesty. The goal was not to erase the past but to acknowledge it fully, face the pain, and begin the difficult work of healing. This was the embodiment of Mandela's belief that forgiveness was essential for South Africa's survival as a united nation. In his first years as president, Mandela also worked tirelessly to implement policies aimed at promoting equality in education, housing, and employment. He knew that true reconciliation would require both forgiveness and tangible action to redress the wrongs of the past. Mandela's legacy, a lesson for the world. Mandela served as South Africa's president from 1994 to 1999, and in that time, he transformed not just a nation, but the world's understanding of forgiveness. His legacy was not just one of political achievement, it was a legacy of moral courage, compassion, and a profound belief in the power of forgiveness. Mandela's decision to forgive his oppressors, and the subsequent actions he took to foster national reconciliation, became a beacon for the world. His life and his message continue to resonate today, reminding us that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness but a powerful force for change. In choosing to forgive, Mandela broke the chains of hatred and built a path toward a future of hope and unity. The global impact of forgiveness. Mandela's life story is a reminder that the true power of forgiveness is not in forgetting the past, but in letting go of the anger and pain that it brings. It is about choosing peace over conflict and unity over division. Forgiveness requires strength, not passivity, and it is a path that leads not just to healing but to the transformation of entire societies. Today, Nelson Mandela's legacy lives on in the hearts of millions around the world. His story is one of resilience, courage, and most of all, forgiveness. He showed the world that while we cannot change the past, we have the power to shape the future through our choices. Mandela's forgiveness did not simply heal the wounds of South Africa, it inspired a global movement of reconciliation, reminding us all that the true strength of a leader lies in their ability to forgive, heal, and unite. His life is a testament to the power of forgiveness, and his legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. Nelson Mandela and his family, a journey of sacrifice, love, and legacy. The early years, a traditional upbringing. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the village of Mvizo, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. He was born into the Thembu royal family, his father being a local chief. His upbringing was one that was steeped in the traditions and customs of his Xhosa heritage. Mandela's early years were shaped by the values of respect for elders, community responsibility, and an understanding of the importance of leadership. However, when Mandela was just 9 years old, his father passed away. His mother, now a widow, took him to live in the household of the acting regent of the Thembu people, Chief Janjantaba Dalindibo. It was here that Mandela was exposed to the world of politics and governance, and his understanding of leadership and justice began to take shape. Chief John Jintaba was a mentor to Mandela, instilling in him a sense of duty to his people and the importance of education. Mandela and S. relationship with his family during these years was one of respect and deep familial bonds. While he was raised with the values of his family's royal lineage, it was his connection to his mother, the influence of his mentor, and the community that laid the foundation for his future path as a leader. Mandela's early marriages, love amidst struggle. As a young man, Mandela attended the University of Fort Hare and later the University of Witwatersrand, where he began studying law. It was during this time that he became involved in the resistance against apartheid, a struggle that would define his life. Yet, Mandela and S. personal life, especially his relationships with women, also played a crucial role in shaping his character. Mandela and S. first marriage was to Evelyn Toko Mays in 1944, a fellow member of the African National Congress, ANC. Evelyn, a nurse, was a devout Christian, and their marriage was built on shared values of activism and social change. Together, they had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. However, their marriage became strained due to their differences in worldview, especially as Mandela became increasingly involved in political activism and Evelyn and S. opposition to his work with the ANC. They eventually separated, and their divorce was finalized in 1958. Despite the personal difficulties in their marriage, Mandela remained a devoted father. The separation from Evelyn and his children was painful, but his commitment to fighting for the freedom of all South Africans remained his guiding principle. Winnie Madikizela Mandela, a partnership of strength and struggle. In 1958, shortly after his divorce from Evelyn, Mandela married Winnie Madikizela, a social worker and activist who was also deeply committed to the fight against apartheid. Winnie was an essential partner in Mandela and S. political journey, and together they became one of the most iconic couples in South Africa's history. Winnie was a formidable force in her own right. While Mandela was imprisoned, she carried the mantle of the struggle for freedom, becoming known as the Mother of the Nation. She became a symbol of resistance, speaking out against the apartheid regime and enduring great personal sacrifice. Her powerful speeches and activism kept the flame of resistance alive even in the darkest years of Mandela's imprisonment. The couple had 2 daughters, Zenani and Zinzi Mandela. However, the intense strain of being apart for years, the political pressures, and the challenges of being a revolutionary couple led to increasing tensions in their marriage. The long separation, combined with the personal and political pressures on Winnie, took a toll on their relationship. Though they remained married for many years, their marriage ultimately became strained due to political differences and personal struggles, leading to their separation in the early 1990s. Despite their separation, Mandela and Winnie continued to express mutual respect for each other, recognizing the pivotal role they each played in the struggle against apartheid. Their relationship, though tumultuous, was marked by a deep understanding of the sacrifices they both made for the cause of freedom. Mandela's children, a legacy of leadership and struggle. Mandela's children, especially Zenani and Zinzi, grew up during a time of immense turmoil in South Africa. They lived through the absence of their father and the trauma that came with apartheid. For much of their childhood, they only saw their father through letters and occasional visits. Yet, despite the separation, Mandela's love for his children was unwavering. Zenani Mandela, his eldest daughter, later became a diplomat, following in her father's footsteps of public service. Zinzi, his youngest daughter, was particularly vocal in her support for the ANC, often speaking out during her father's imprisonment. Zinzi was a prominent figure during the transition to democracy and played a significant role in the struggle against apartheid, continuing her father's legacy of leadership. Mandela's relationship with his children, though tested by years of separation, was a source of great pride for him. He often expressed regret for not being able to be present in their lives, but his dedication to the cause of freedom was a guiding force in his absence. His children carried the weight of their father's legacy and the history of struggle, becoming part of the new South African leadership as the country moved toward democracy. Mandela and S. final years and the legacy of forgiveness. In his later years, Mandela found peace in his family life. After his release from prison, he remarried in 1998 to Graça Machel, a Mozambican humanitarian and the widow of former Mozambican President Samora Machel. Their union brought Mandela great happiness, and Graça became a steadfast companion in his later years, supporting his humanitarian work and efforts toward global peace. Mandela's reconciliation with his family was also part of his larger philosophy of forgiveness and unity. He often spoke of the importance of family, not just in the biological sense, but as a broader community of people working together for the common good. His own journey of forgiveness extended to the people in his life, his former wives, children, and even to those who had wronged him. Through all his hardships, Mandela's family remained an integral part of his journey. He understood that while the fight for freedom required sacrifice, the love of family provided the strength to continue the struggle. His legacy of forgiveness, as well as his belief in the importance of family and community, are values that continue to inspire people around the world. The Mandela legacy, a family of leaders and activists. Today, Mandela's family continues his legacy of activism, human rights, and peace. Many of his grandchildren are active in social and political causes, pushing forward the ideals that Mandela fought for throughout his life. They carry the mantle of his work, spreading his message of reconciliation and forgiveness. The Mandela family, through its sacrifices, challenges, and triumphs, has shown the world that family is not just about bloodlines, but about shared values and the strength to overcome adversity together. Nelson Mandela's journey as a leader, father, husband, and grandfather reminds us that even in the face of great personal pain, love and forgiveness can heal, unite, and inspire entire generations. Legacy of love and forgiveness. Nelson Mandela's family, through their own struggles, sacrifices, and triumphs, embodied the values of resilience, strength, and, most profoundly, forgiveness. His relationships with his wives, children, and grandchildren were tested by time, politics, and imprisonment. Yet, his message of peace, reconciliation, and unity lived on through them. Mandela's power of forgiveness wasn't just directed at the apartheid government, it extended to his family as well. It was through his ability to forgive that Mandela was able to mend broken relationships, create new bonds, and leave a legacy that continues to impact South Africa and the world. His family became the living testament to his belief that reconciliation, whether with a nation, a former enemy, or even with loved ones, holds the power to transform lives and societies.